While you were still at uni, growing up in Canberra, you had no choice but really to be attracted to politics, really, did you?
Well, I think Canberrans either completely have
What
nothing
are you
to do with it.
Canberrians?
Canberrans.
Canberrians?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh no, there you go. You learn
What are
something every
Sydney
day.
people called?
I don't know.
Sydney-siders?
Sydney-siders.
Melburnians?
Yeah.
Adelaideans?
Do you say Adelaideans?
No, I just
That
made it
sounds
up
really
then.
dumb.
I know,
Yeah.
embarrassed.
It's not going to catch on.
Rerun.
It's not going to catch on.
So you studied in Canberra.
Yep.
And then you started to work for Kevin Rudd at 21. Yes. Wow. What was that like?
Scary.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing was the contrast. So I went from being a uni student,
yes,
where you like roll out of bed at 10 and you're like, might go to class today,
yeah,
might go to the bar, we'll just sort of see how we go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of lifestyle, to getting up at 3:15 in the morning and starting work at 4 and being out at a freezing cold newsagent picking up the papers at 4:45 every day, and
Why
working
so
crazy
early?
hours. Because that's when the papers come out. So if you think about politicians when they go on radio,
yeah,
the first ones are starting at 6 in the morning.
Right.
Like politicians are up and on the radio talking about the issues of the day at 6.
Right.
Someone's got to prepare them for that. And the someone is the staff.
Yeah,
so
right.
you don't want you can't have the politician always getting up at 4 in the morning because they've got to go all night and often have a function or a dinner. So in the Prime Minister's office, part of our job was there was always someone who got up, who started at 4, read all the papers, summarised them and sent round what was happening on the radio stations in the papers to all the other offices so everyone would be across the news. Happens on all sides of politics.
Wow.
I used to stand there with Malcolm Turnbull's staff member who was around the same age at the newsagent waiting for the papers, and we'd sort of be like, how are you? Yeah, good. And one of us was always good and one was always bad because one party was doing well politically and one
how
wasn't.
funny. So that was, like you said, a huge difference from uni to going and working for Kevin Rudd. What was that whole experience like? Because you hear very mixed things about Kevin, and you hear that how he treated his staff was not necessarily the best. What can you, without getting yourself in trouble?
No. Look, I loved working for Kevin because, I mean, who gets that kind of opportunity at that age, you know? And I think when you're interested in politics and when you're drawn to that kind of work, you're just excited to be there and you're excited to be contributing in any way. You know, I used to, if it was doing Kevin's makeup or...
Did you do Kevin's makeup?
Yes, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Was it like there's no makeup? Jamila, bring your makeup
really
bag
good
over.
No, you had prime ministerial makeup for interviews and stuff.
So you just go sit down, Kev, here's your cup of tea, I'm going to put your makeup on now.
Well, you call him Prime Minister, but...
Would you always call him Prime Minister?
No, actually, Kevin had a bit of it was a signal, like he kind of, because he was often briefing, he was always busy. Like he was getting briefed, he was preparing for interview. He was, whatever people thought of Kevin, he was one of the most hardworking people I've met in my entire life. And a phenomenal brain, and was always working and always learning and always sucking up information, whether it was for the interview he was about to do or a decision he had to make later in the day.
Right.
And he used to have this signal where he'd kind of look at you, and that was the sign where it was like, oh, it's makeup time now. But sometimes it was like you had to learn the signal when it was the right time, because he didn't want to like...
Because did he have like a get me my book look, get me a tea look, get me my makeup kind of look, and you just had to learn?
No, he was always, to be honest, he always used to ask for everything except the makeup. I think men are funny. And when men first get involved in television, all male politicians I've ever had anything to do with, none of them like, they don't like getting makeup put on them. They're like, why do I need this? No, none of them want to, and he just used to not, we used to not talk about it. It was just something that would happen.
That is hilarious.